Hello everyone. So, let's ask ourselves, why do we need to cultivate ourselves? Why self-cultivation is important? What is the difficult part of self-cultivation? There is a Greek proverb saying, an unexamined life is not worth living, while Confucian emphasized that uncultivated life is disrespectful of himself and dehumanizing to others. So why we need this self-cultivation? Of course, we shouldn't be close to those people who do harm to himself and have this self-abandoned. In Chinese, we call it 自暴自弃者. So this word was from the Book of Mentions.
Mencius said, "Don't speak to the one who does harm to himself, and don't collaborate with one who is self-abandoned." Doing harm to oneself means the absence of propriety and righteousness in one's word. Being self-abandoned means the failure to abide by humaneness or to follow righteousness.
So you see that these terms are from this sentence. So do not be close or collaborate with those people who do harms to himself and is self-abandoned. So we need to cultivate ourselves. We need to be a better person. We need to make the best out of us. The early Chinese philosophers believed that the purpose of learning was to cultivate himself and develop himself and also develop a society. So different schools of thoughts have a variety of perceptions about self-cultivation. Confucians believe that learning develops in parallel with the cultivating of the virtue, because they believe that cultivated people can legitimately lead the state, while the Mohists emphasize that the development of a commitment to benefit the world. And how about Taoists? The Taoists believe that cultivation involves undoing many of the aspects of the society and nurturing one's life in accordance with their principle of non-action and the spontaneity. Junzi's the school, they emphasize on the egoism, pay more attention to the body itself, so each for himself. Okay, let's focus on this Confucian's view about self-cultivation. So a defining characteristic of Junzi is his faith in humaneness. So that means this is the basic criteria of Junzi. To be a good person, you need to nurture your original heart. So in modern days, we are talking a lot about the teaching. So in terms of this teaching, we give people the knowledge and educate with a very systematic educational theory, but never reminds people about how to nurture their heart, how to awaken the original heart to be sensitive to people around, to the world. So nurturing, in this case, is more important. So in other terms, we call it the teaching, education is more important and more necessary to sustain this nature, this original, the heart. Of course, people have the behavior, but if this force is from the external force, that is not sufficient. It should be from the within. It should be like nurture the people's inner kind of spirit. This is a kind of strength from within. And also, the virtue of the Junzi is compatible with such familiar actions as eating and walking. It is not separable from daily affairs. Remember that the previous sentence, from the ruler down to the common people. Everybody should take this self-cultivation as a root. So the way of Junzi, it sounds in a very high place, very profound, but actually it can be applied in our daily affairs, like eating, like walking. So even though people are different in their intelligence and talents and ability, all human beings are endowed with this inner strength. So to actualize themselves so that they can reach the fullest of identification with the cosmic world. So in this case, Junzi seeks to manifest the ultimate meaning of ordinary human existence. So, what is the difficult part of self-cultivation? The difficult part is that Zhong, which means sensuality, and Yong, which means simply being the ordinary. So we have this book, the Doctrine of the Mean. When we're talking about abide by the highest goodness, that is the difficult part. It sounds like something that you cannot clench. And what can be grounded under your feet is that you need to have interpretation of this highest goodness in a concrete way. So the difficult part, which is more metaphysical, is about this immoderate way, the sensuality and the ordinary eventually lead to the harmony. So we have like 3 sentences from the Doctrine of the Mean. It is talking about the difficult part of the mean.
The master said, perfect is a mean. For a long time, few people have been able to follow it. Junzi exemplifies the mean. The petty man acts contrary to the mean. Junzi exemplifies the mean because, as Junzi, he can maintain the mean at any time. The petty man acts contrary to the mean because, as a petty man, he has no caution. The empire, the states, and the family can be put in order. Ranks and emoluments can be declined. A bare, naked weapons can be trampled upon, but the mean cannot easily be attained.
So from these 3 sentences, you can see that although on the one hand it says the way of Junzi can be applied in our daily practice, on the other, it seems so difficult. Even the sage, even the Junzi sometimes found it difficult to accomplish it. So that's the difficult part. So put in a simple word, the difficult part is to, when you do the self-cultivation, you should be honest and true to yourself. It's like you have 2 strengths in your heart. One is that the heart of the greed, desire. The other is the heart of the pure, original heart. So these 2 strengths, they always fight against each other. Sometimes if your greed overrides the goodness, and then you will go astray. And you always should be cautious about, alert of maintenance of this goodness in your nature, so that you will not be fear. You will not have the worries and no perplexities, as we emphasized previously. So another sentence, which is very long, and Confucius emphasized when he was talking about the way of the Junzi, and he tried to explain, although it sounds profound, still, when we come back to society, when we take the daily practice into consideration, we still can see it, we can feel it, we can follow what it guides us.
The master said, In pursuit of the way, Junzi cherishes 4 principles, though none of which I have yet done enough. I haven't been able to do what a good son should do to his parents, what a loyal minister should do to the ruler, what a younger brother should do to his elder brother, and I haven't been able to set example for friends. Ordinary virtues should be encouraged to be applied in daily life, and ordinary conversation should be handled with cautiousness. When you haven't done it enough, practice it persistently. When you have done it enough, restrain it accordingly. In this case, his words correspond to his actions, and his actions correspond to his words. Isn't it true that such sincerity distinguishes Junzi?
So you see that when you're dealing with the people, when you have this role ethics in your mind, being as a father, as a minister, as a ruler, as a brother, being as a son, you still can play your roles. So that's a very vivid description by Confucius when we're talking about the 4 principles of being a Junzi. Okay, we may find the answer to our question. The difficult part of self-cultivation is a sensuality, is the highest goodness. And we may find this answer from the Book of the Qing. It says, the movement of heaven is full of power, and thus the superior man makes himself strong and untiring. So the terrain is vast, and the superior man carries goods with great virtue. So under this depiction, the universe is a universe with moral attributes. It is a moral universe. Confucius' sense of morality is grounded on their metaphysics of the moral universe. So human moral mission is defined in the context of a moral universe. So Confucians typically regard the highest moral accomplishment of humans as of aiding creation and furthering other lives. So they regard this task as the ultimate goal of heaven and earth. So in that word, when we feel puzzled, when we feel perplexed to choose whether we need to go look up to the highest goodness and or back to the concrete things we undertake every day, we may find our strength from our ancient philosophy, from the ancient wisdom. That's the end of the chapter 2. Thank you for being with me. See you next time.